Hello guys, and welcome back to another session of Learning Unity with me. I think where we last left off, we were configuring or creating the settings page, and this is what we have so far, I think. So it seems like it works. I'm not sure if we're also supposed to make this thing work. Let's see, start our options screen. Let me see.
Find the image. I'm going to change my image up and down and sliding the difficulty up and down. So go ahead.
Maybe it's at the back button. Seems like it works just fine. But I think I would need to change these to a little bit lighter color. Let me see if that makes it look better. Settings text, color, white. Let me see how this looks. Yeah, the other one looks better. I'm guessing I should add something behind it. But I think that might ruin it. You know what, we're not taking this seriously anyways, we're just learning like creating a settings page, I guess. So the thing I'm not sure about is whether or not this should be affecting anything. Because if so, then I probably wouldn't know how to do it. Like there has to be like some sort of property, kind of like how we had the time scale for the volume and for difficulty. I think maybe just for the spawner, we can just make it this shorter, I guess. You can make it 3 seconds as opposed to 5. So that way they spawn in more. They spawn more, and then make the timer even longer. Make this, I don't know, 60 seconds. So try to survive a minute instead of 10 seconds. But yeah, I'm just gonna watch what he does.
Loaded one of the other glitch images. Let me just find my images folder here. Yes, drag that image in. It's kind of a cool mushroom vendor guy. It looks pretty cool. I quite like that one. And then here we are, glitch meal. I'm just going to rename this to being options screen image. So it's very clear what
Also, yeah, we weren't supposed to add any functionality to the sliders, which makes sense, I guess, since that seems kind of overkill for this part. So yeah, I wish there was a Q&A because I'd really like to know other people's perspective on it. So this one is PlayerPrefs to save settings. So this is where the functionality is going to be added on. Got it. Interesting. So PlayerPrefs are kind of like configuration files. I think I've seen them before, mainly in like older titles. Essentially, what I'm thinking is that this allows us to like our game to read from and then apply the settings that we've given it into our game. And I do want to remember this because I think it's going to be important for for the future. So I'll just write down PlayerPrefs, I think is what it's called. PlayerPrefs are used. Actually, let me get the actual definition because I might be simplifying it too much. Alright, so the player script, or prefs, is a class that stores player preference between game sessions. It can store string, float, and integer values into the user's platform registry. Unity stores player prefs data differently based on which operating system the application runs on. So that's also something pretty cool, is that Unity can detect the system, or I guess when we build it. And then of course we have to choose. Wait, what? Why is it so big? Basically, we have to choose one of the platforms that we want, and depending on that platform that we chose, we can build. Unity knows where to place these player preferences, and these are scripts too. You gotta keep that in mind. They store them in respect to the system that the application was built on. So I think that was pretty cool to know. So I guess anything I can see. PlayerPrefs is a class that stores players' preferences between game sessions. So I think that's pretty interesting because I thought it was the game itself, but this is between game sessions. Unless that's what it means, and I'm overthinking it. I don't know. Is a class that stores player preferences. I'm just gonna copy this actually. Just so I can easily access that definition. But I'm probably gonna end up googling it anyways, so maybe it might have been pointless. So we can set float, string, or int values into our player preference file, and we can also get those values too, just in case we wanna know something from our configurations. You know, I always thought the solution to string references would be to store them into like a variable and then reference that variable, but I want to see what other people think. How to handle string references. And I think I'm gonna pause here for a bit because I need to charge my mouse, so I'm gonna do that real quick. Alright, I'm back. What is this? How does Java store handle string objects? Text. String references. No, sorry, I guess I was doing it incorrectly. I was supposed to say hardcode. Softcode. I'm trying to look for a solution. Alternative? No. How to set up. How to. Not set up. How to handle hard-coded. It's a video. I'm hoping for like a page. Oh, here it is. Well, I mean, it's not really something, but hard coding refers to the software development practice of embedding input and configuration data directly into the source code of a program or other executable object, or fixed formatting of the data. Instead of obtaining the data from external sources or generating data or formatting in the program itself with a given input. So it's fixed data versus obtaining data. There's this thing called soft coding. Soft coding accepts parameters or lookup values in configuration files or database that alter the flow of computer logic. So I guess that's like, you know, variables, and then we're getting data from, like, let's say, a database. A user interface may be provided to allow users to update these values. Soft coding, limited ability. Soft coding provides limited ability for users to change the functioning of a system without a programmer. It may also be used to improve the general maintainability of code. Basic configuration files. Connection strings. Application connection strings and its related settings must not be hard-coded in the code file, C# or VB, and it should always fetch from application connections configuration files. X database active directory. Avoid hard-coding connection related strings in the code files. So this is what this is how we avoid. So we have here. We're creating an SQL connection object. It looks like we're passing this string literal here. Do application connection strings must be read from the configuration files. Oh, so in a way, you know, it is kind of like what I've been doing. I guess let me show you an example. Let me show you guys an example. It has to be more like an ID or a tag, but like right here. I don't know if you guys can see it. So it's right here. This is kind of like a reference to configuration. But you know, if we stored this in a configuration file, where it's just a script that contains a bunch of different IDs and everything, and then we would just reference that class with that property, and that would be the configuration file. And I guess that'd be the better way of doing it, because then if, like, let's say we need to change something, we go to the configuration file and it contains all of the IDs that we can mess with, and yeah, we just update whatever that is in that configuration file, and then it affects everything that's connected to it, which is a lot better, because then you only need to change one thing that'll affect everything. I mean, it could also be bad in the sense that if you don't handle it well, it can mess up your whole system. But in terms of efficiency, I think this is the way to go. So more or less, it's kind of like what I've thought it would be. So, and yeah, it seems like he's using like a hash map, or this is like the key, and then we're gonna get the value based on the key that we want. But then you have that string. We still have this string here though, configuration. So maybe the way they did the configs, depending on the framework and then the language that you're using. So maybe the way I explained it was also simplified too. So because I don't know what's happening here, but it looks like C# has their own way of creating a configuration file. But we still have a string literal here too. So I don't know, maybe this thing doesn't change at all. So in that sense, I would still put it in a static variable that's easy to see, so that way we can, if we need to change it, or if something happens that we need to do to change that value, well, then it should be pretty simple, because we know it's always well, I place mine at the top, so it's easier for me to spot where I need to change it. So yeah, alright, I know that was like a small tangent, but yeah, let's get back right into the video. I'm gonna do this along with him, just so I can. What was this? Failed to create device file. I don't know what that is. We're gonna create C# script, and we're gonna call this PlayerPref controller. Dang it. PlayerPrefs controller. PlayerPrefs controller. Alright, we're gonna open it up. Alright, so we're gonna make some keys or some I guess yeah, keys, I guess. So we're gonna create a const string one key. I just don't like the empty space. It just feels weird to use. So static here versus, so like, let's compare these two. So public void set master. Alright. So the difference between these two is that one belongs to the class while the other one belongs to the instances of the class, or like objects created with this class. I don't know, that's kind of hard, not a good explanation, but like so basically when we use static, it means that we can only affect the class itself. And then because like when we create an object, like for example PlayerPrefs controller, right, and then let's say object equals new PlayerPrefs controller, this is an object or an instance. This variable has a reference to this instance here, which means that we can only use non-static methods. So this is valid here, object.set master volume, that's valid. But, or sorry, let me see, static, I'll just make it like that. This is valid, but this is not valid because this method belongs to the class, not an instance of the class. And yeah, so to call this method, then you would need to instead of using object, which is the reference to the instance, we're gonna have to use the class's name. So it would be PlayerPrefs controller class. That's how you would call static methods. And if you also have things kind of like public variables too, and it could also be constant as well if you like. But for example, we'd have public static string var equals static var. And again, we wouldn't be able to access that. We wouldn't say object.var because again, this belongs to the class. So we had to do PlayerPrefs controller .var, and because it belongs to the class, not the instance or the object of the class. That was just like a little I guess tip but mainly just for my review because I want, like, I think static is kind of like knowing static and non-static is like basic programming knowledge, and it's been a while since I reviewed it, so I just want to take the time to do that. Anyways, let's continue. Oh, so PlayerPrefs is an actual class in Unity, and there were, I guess, I don't know if this is an advanced term, but we're creating a wrapper essentially with this class where we're basically, it's a class that uses another class's methods, or I guess that's the best way I can describe it. So PlayerPrefs, yeah, we already saw what it is. I didn't think it was an actual class. It's kind of like, time. We have the time property, or the time object, which is, I think, part of the Unity engine. And yeah, so I guess the Unity engine looks up those values, and if we change them in our code, then it affects the engine that our game is running on, essentially. So what do we? Oh yeah, I think we're testing it now, right? Oh yeah, we need to create an object. But why does this say test? What? I see. So yeah, so since this is a wrapper, we're going to have to set the, since this is the wrapper, we're gonna have to set the we're gonna have to call it in a method. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. Let's do it where there's not so many objects. Let's do it on the settings scene. Yeah, this one. Alright, so we're gonna create an empty, and then we're just gonna say, well, we're gonna add a script that says test script. We're gonna delete this. Wait, can we remove it? No, never mind. Yeah, I guess it's fine. So we're just gonna put this back, and then in our start, since I guess since we don't really have like a directories or hierarchy, we can access any of these methods, if I'm not mistaken. At least that's what I saw. So PlayerPrefs controller dot, we just set the master volume to let's say 0.5 F. So then when we run the game, it's gonna execute this script here, and then it's gonna call this set master volume, which will call this method, and then it'll call on the PlayerPrefs class to set a float value to the master volume key. And then yeah, it's gonna set the, I guess it's gonna get the engine's player preference and then update those values. Oh yeah, he did mention it was a wrapper. Never mind. Alright, so we've been challenged to create a getter for our class here, which shouldn't be that hard. So basically we're just going to do public static, if we're getting the volume, which is a float value, we're going to return a float, and we're going to call this get master volume, and we're not going to pass in any parameters, and it's pretty simple. I think we just return the PlayerPrefs dot get float, and then it would be the master volume key, and then I guess that's the only argument that it requires. So then I guess he wants, so this is his words: create a test game object and script to set master volume then to get it and print the value to console with a witty message. So we would do like debug.log getting master volume key, and then we're gonna, I guess, get kind of do the same thing. Let me actually store this in a variable, and then just do this, and then just return the volume. Well, it's not witty, but it's whatever. So now we want to test it, and we still have this object here, so wait, to set the master volume and then get it out. Well, I think we did that already with the test. We set the volume here, and then we're gonna I guess PlayerPrefs controller dot get master volume, and then if we run it, oh, what's this? What is this? Oh, I forgot the parentheses, or the semicolon. There it is. So we were able to set it and then get it. Alright, so what's the next one? Ask me at the end. Set and save the music volume. Alright, I just realized he was doing like a lot of stuff, so I need to go back and kind of see what he did. Alright, so he created a music instance for one of the, or music object for one of the scenes. I think start scene maybe. No, it's splash scene. So now I gotta be careful because I already added a music here. So we're just gonna, if we deactivate it, it might break it. Will it break it? Let me see. Because it's gonna try to access, or I guess it's just saying it's disabled. Wait, why is the hitbox so big? Oh, right here. Oh, right. Because we made it to like that. Let me see the hitbox. Oh, I mean, there's that. Why is it so? Well, we'll add it to later. So I guess there's not really a big issue if it doesn't play. So then let's go to splash screen. That's what he did, I think. And then he created a music object with a music script, music called music player. Music player. And then he created an object. Create empty, I guess, music. And then we're gonna add that script there. I accidentally clicked on that. But yeah, and in his script, we're basically just assigning a music and then changing the volume. So let me load up the script real quick. Alright, so we don't destroy because we want to keep it throughout all the levels. And we say this because we don't want to destroy this every time, so it's kept throughout the rest of the game, or throughout the rest of the scenes. So we need to create a reference to the audio source, which we still need to add. It's a component. There you go. And then we gotta create a reference to it. And then we're gonna set the volume, I think. So what this does is that whenever it starts, I guess, it sets the master volume to whatever we set it to, or whatever is in the player preference object, I think. Oh, we don't need this. Public void set volume, float volume, audio source dot volume equals volume. So we need to also, oh wait, he created a prefab. Where was this? Audio source does not exist. I thought it does. What the heck? My bad. There you go. Wait, load sound, what's that? Oh no, load sound is the splash scenes music, right? I think, yeah. Alright, so we go to the option scene, yeah. So we do that, we go here, and then setting scene, and then, I don't know why I'm so close to the thing. Right, actually, before we do that, we're supposed to do the, actually no, we prefabbed it already. Let's also do this one too. And yeah, alright, so let's see. Scenes, then setting. And then we go to core game. Put the music. There's no audio clip, but yeah, it's fine. Create a settings controller object. Settings controller. They're creating their script called settings controller. Alright. Oops, not here. Do it here. Create C# settings controller. Let's go ahead to script. Oh wait. Alright, so I noticed that's already 1 hour, so I'm gonna end it here, and I'll see you guys next time.